Welcome to another episode of Behind the Seams with George Courey Inc. Today, very excited to have with us Sean Breuner, founder and CEO of AvantStay. Sean, welcome to the Behind the Seams podcast.
Thank you. Great to be here, Jeff, and excited to chat today.
So, where are you calling in from today?
Based in LA, so we're in about 46 markets, 160 cities across the country. But I'm based in LA, travel a lot. HQ's in Austin, so we're a little bit everywhere. But today I'm in LA.
Nice, beautiful LA. So, tell us a little bit about AvantStay. So, what is it essentially? How long have you guys been around, and what does day to day look like for you as CEO?
Yeah, so AvantStay, we're the largest luxury operator of vacation rentals and short-term rentals in the luxury segment in the country. So today we manage just over 2,600 homes and short-term rental units. As I mentioned, 46 markets, about 160 cities. And really, what we've done is built a platform that elevates the guest experience and delivers a higher ROI for homeowners and institutional owners. So, just very simply put, the better experience that you make for a guest, the more they're willing to pay, the more that homeowners and institutional owners make on their properties in terms of ROI, makes us deliver more supply on the back end. So really the way that we thought about the business was everything that you love about a hotel, let's bring that into the home. So we call it a hotel and a home experience. And that's really kind of the genesis behind what enthused us to build AvantStay.
So primarily focused on guest experience, right? I think you said that a few times just in that little segment. So how has that changed over the years? So going back, thinking back to, the way hospitality was, the way it has been over the last 10, 20 years, how important has guest experience been for your clients? And how important do you think that is going forward as well for the industry?
I think, yeah, in any business, the customer experience is going to be paramount, right? And I think in our business, frankly, it's a much more challenging thing to get right because there are a lot of different customers. And so you have the
Hmm.
guest, you have the homeowner, you have cities, you have neighbors, and so all of those stakeholders have to be happy in order for this machine to work, in order to
Hmm.
deliver an exceptional experience. And we've done a lot of things to support all of those stakeholders so that the guest is having an amazing stay and is coming back, and then the homeowners are obviously being able to deliver higher ROI to their investors or to themselves. So yeah, I mean
Hmm.
the evolution of the guest experience in our business is that we're still closing the gap with hotels. I mean, hotels have been around for what, 100 years. Our goal
Hmm.
is to build Marriott in a decade, and Marriott was built in 100 years. And so how do we do that? I mean, it's really, you're running a horizontal operation that leverages technology. And so when you think about a city, you have a 50-mile radius with 100, 200, 300 homes, and nobody on site at any individual location. And so technology is what allows a horizontal operation to work seamlessly. And today we're the highest rated national operator, 4.84 in the country. We have 150,000 five-star reviews. And really, there's a part of it that's selecting the right house, because it's really hard to get a five-star stay unless you select the right house. And then the other part is, how do you deliver? How do you deliver on the brand and the experience that you're promising? And technology supports that, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a human capital is what matters. It's a people business, and so people want to be supported in these markets. So every single market, we have boots on the ground, we have support, we have vendors. We're running a full vertical operation of management, from taking care of your home, best in class care, to 24/7 support for the guest and for concierge and amenities and everything that we bring into the home. The more that we can digitize that, the better. And that's the key in any industry, is leveraging technology and automation and AI these days. That's paramount to being successful. And you have to bring more of that to the table in a single family residential focused operation where you're running horizontal, because at a hotel you have all of your workers generally on site, and so you
Hmm.
need less technology to be successful. So I'd say the customer experience on our side, as kind of the expectations of that customer has been elevated to match what has historically been predominantly a hotel experience with amenities inside those homes.
And so you founded the company, and obviously have experienced tremendous amount of growth. Has that remained steady from day one? That focus on guest experience and differentiating yourselves through technology and through an elevated guest experience, and or has it changed from day one? Where has that evolved at all, or has that been consistent for you
Yeah,
guys?
I think it's a great question because it has evolved, and the way that it's evolved is that it's really expanded in terms of, adding stakeholders. We started the business all on master leases for individual homes because we only had the time and bandwidth to deal with one customer, and that was the
Hmm.
guest. So we said, homeowner, we'll guarantee you X amount of income. Let's scale the business and focus on the customer experience on the demand and the stay side. Once we
Hmm.
knocked that out of the park, which we got to the largest and highest rated, national operator at 4.8 plus at scale, and that hadn't been done at scale ever. Nobody had ever done 4.8 plus, 1,000 plus properties. And so once we got to that point and we had convinced people and had second order metrics and third party data that supported that we outperformed both in terms of a review perspective, NPS, but also in terms of returns and revenue and expense management, all of this is critically important. We then shifted the business model to management fee. So we were aligning our interests with the homeowners and institutional owners of these assets. And so when we all win, everybody wins, and that's the management fee
Hmm.
business. And when things are let's say there's compression in ADRs or RevPARs, or we've seen natural disasters over the years, we share in that downside. But ultimately, in any environment, AvantStay is going to be able to deliver premium returns for investors. So
Hmm.
I think the evolution there was that we shifted from really focusing purely on the customer, and we neglected, arguably intentionally, the homeowners by delivering them a check every month and still taking care of their home.
Hmm.
But we shifted that to now, having the ebbs and flows of seasonality, and really building out tooling, enterprise tooling for asynchronous and account management at the homeowner level. And so some of the stuff we built, Lighthouse, which is really a world-class enterprise backend system for homeowners to come in, see the performance, see who's in the homes, approve vendors, approve, any of the kind of billing and invoicing. They get to see asynchronous benchmarking against comp sets. They get to play around with a lot of our different tools and understand why performance, is either outperforming or underperforming year over year. And so we always say that transparency is king in this business. And the more
Hmm.
information and data that we can provide homeowners, the less calls we get, which is always
Hmm.
nice. But also, at their fingertips, they don't always want to call. They don't want to call and sit on the phone for 20 minutes and hear. They want to see the data and be able to benchmark it in real time. And so what we've tried to build around the homeowner experience is asynchronous transparency in terms of data and information so that they don't need to come to us for every single one of their questions.
Hmm. And so, scaling is obviously very important, and to do so in a systematic way where you can scale up to infinity, right? To the sky's the limit kind of thing. How have you guys been able to scale and maintain that consistency that I think homeowners are looking for in a management company? What are some of give me like two or three top things that you're like, these are the elements that need to be consistent no matter what as we scale up, and like what are the non-negotiables?
Yeah, it's interesting because the industry's been through a lot, and I think that a lot of there's 23,000 short-term rental vacation managers in the country, and a lot of them can get to 100 homes and be successful. Although there are impediments to running a local or regional operation where you don't have national exposure, national distribution. You may not have some of the perks and membership models that you can deploy and distribute through a national operation. Then obviously there's economies of scale that really benefit companies like ourselves. As far as like how we've been able to scale, I think the most honest answer behind that is probably property selection.
Hmm.
And why that matters is we talk a lot about consistency in this industry, but what we
Hmm.
don't talk about is differentiation. And those
Hmm.
two need to come together in a harmonious way. And so, what do I mean by that? That means our business is built on the uniqueness of the experience and the uniqueness of the home. All of our homes are different. There's not really a single model match home unless we built it into a
They're all
community.
beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, they're incredible experiences for family, friends. Get, I mean, I still go at least once a month with my family to a home,
Nice.
and I just love it. But I think that differentiation is key, and the uniqueness is key. And so, property selection, you have to pick something that fits your brand. You can't sell out for something that is not a good fit long term for
Hmm.
what you're trying to accomplish. And then making sure that you're able to deliver that elevated experience. And what we did, we spent 5 years, 6 years up front building a platform that built in efficiencies, and we were running the business at the same time and learning and trial and error and building in different tools that enabled our teams to be more effective to deliver kind of
Hmm.
the elite local experience. We always say front end local, back end institutional. That's how we built the business.
Nice.
So we want to
Hmm.
be the most local company in your market, and we're embedded into the fabric of every single community, whether that's through charities or sports teams, or being there and hiring, being one of the largest kind of employers in that local market. And so we try to embed ourselves into the fabric of that community, and that helps scale the local side. And then we build out technology and platform capabilities that benefit a national distribution and a national brand strategy that delivers higher and better economics for homeowners.
Nice. And so you guys are in how many states now in the US?
That's a great question. I should know the answer to that. I think I think we're probably in 19 states last I looked right
Okay.
now.
East
And
Coast, West Coast.
yeah, East Coast, West Coast, Southeast is our largest. So
Okay.
Southeast, South, Texas. We have about 400 or 500 homes now in Texas. So,
Okay.
I'd say the West, Colorado is becoming one of our largest markets. So kind of,
Hmm.
the West, the South, the Southeast, and then obviously we
Yeah.
have Northeast. We haven't done as much in the Midwest, or the Northeast, although we are launching Seattle next month. And the
Hmm.
main reason is because, we really like, kind of the brand is centered around what we call, drive to destination markets and experiential urban epicenters. And
Okay.
so what does that mean? That means, where you're really looking for more leisure. Now we do support business travel. It's about 12, 13% of our total travel. And some of that portion of that is corporate retreats and larger group gatherings. But
Hmm.
ultimately it's a leisure vacation, destination business. And most of it is drive to, outside of like Hawaii. All
Hmm.
of our markets are drivable.
So pretty spread out across the US, I would say. And so if we drill down to like the operational side of the business for a minute, how important is managing that national supply chain for you? And obviously, I'm kind of referring to textiles in particular. We're on the Behind the Seams podcast after all.
Yeah.
So something like, centralizing purchasing of textiles and other operational inputs, how important is that for you to scale? Like, so something that you don't have to worry about, you go with a national provider, provide consistency among all the rooms. Textiles is one example. There's obviously many others. Is that important for you guys as you scale up to know that there's consistency on those operational inputs and you kind of have a good idea of what your costs and expenses are going to be as you
Yeah.
onboard new properties?
Yeah, I think without question, and Jeff, because we've done a lot of business over the years. But I think that when I think about, first of all, I'm a pillow and linen connoisseur. So what do I
Love
mean
it.
by that? Like, I've gone through, and mattresses. I've gone through 50, 60 mattresses, till I found like the one that is perfect for me. And
Love
then
it.
I've gone through so many different versions of pillows and linens. And so I do feel like that's a critically important part of the
Hmm.
business to get right, and quality is absolutely paramount. And we have properties that we get a lot of amazing reviews just about linens, and people. And one thing that we discussed rolling out is shoppable homes, because people stay in these
Hmm.
places on vacation and they're using the linens and the pillows, and they want to know where they came from. And we've done some tests, and it's worked in terms of like QR code. You could flash it and buy the pillow right there on the spot. But I'd
Perfect.
say we started off the business by buying all of the OS&E and FF&E for the homes. And then what
Hmm.
we did is we shifted that to homeowners and institutional operators as we were able to prove out our thesis that technology platform brand execution is paramount and is superior to what existed today. And so we're able to push those costs, but it's based on the brand standards that we have as a company. And
Right.
so we built out a full brand standard, 125-page deck that says, if you want to be a part of AvantStay, here are the requirements that we have. Here are the preferred vendors, and those preferred vendors are scaled and can help us centralize the supply chain. Now, there's still things that we still have to operate, like a welcome amenity package that has to be
Hmm.
localized to every single market in the country and has to be delivered and at the house before every guest stay, which changes every single week. So there,
Right.
there are supply chain, there is cerebral damage that is done on the supply chain side of things in terms of delivering not just consistency, but differentiation across markets where you have, where you need to, continuously kind of elevate that local feel and embed yourself, as we kind of said earlier, into the fabric of the community. So without
Hmm.
question, supply chain and procurement is a big part of the business. I think one thing that we've tried to shift to is having consistency and standards. For example, like if you have a Marriott or a Starwood, they have their brand deck, and if you want a flag like a Starwood or Marriott flag, you have to adhere to their brand standards and use their vendors. So that's the same approach that we've taken. We said, if you want the AvantStay flag and you want superior economics, you have to use, George Courey Incorporated to, to furnish to bring linens and OS&E into your property. And I think that that's
Perfect.
been really successful because we've seen a lot of issues over the years with owners pushing back and saying, well, I like my pillows. Well, that's great, but your pillows are inferior to the pillows that we have, and we need the right pillows in this house. And it sounds small, but it's big. And so that's
Hmm.
why you have things like owners' closets, and owners shouldn't want, guests using their stuff anyways. And so we
Hmm.
circulated out, frequently and make sure that we have the best OS&E in these homes. So I know that's a long-winded way of saying
Hmm.
critically important, and
Hmm.
finding scaled vendors that can help you centralize that. What I would say a mistake that we made early on, pretty big mistake, was trying to centralize it ourselves, trying to centralize supply chain and get industrial warehouses and shared warehousing. And what happens there is you don't always know exactly where you're going to accelerate growth. And so how do you
Hmm.
centralize an industrial warehouse? One area that we did do it was in Southern California, because we knew that we were going to have 400 or 500 properties at all time there. And so some of
Right.
those areas it makes sense, but we found that really finding great partners like yourselves and other folks has been, a big transition for us to become more efficient and focus on what we do best, which is delivering a
Hmm.
great experience as opposed to, having the perfect supply chain.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen is there's a lot of these companies that have maybe 10, 12, 15 properties, and they're still kind of sourcing their linens on Amazon and buying from Costco and like doing these like ad hoc kind of supply for their properties. And then at a certain point, everyone graduates, right? Because you need to graduate out of that, get more consistency across each property, and that just is fiscally sound, but it also is strategic as well because it gives you consistency across multiple properties and is something that's scalable. So we see that a lot. So can we say then, as a self-proclaimed pillow and linen connoisseur, that the George Courey product, considering it's in most, if not all, of the AvantStay properties, meets
Yeah.
the Sean
Yeah, I mean,
Breuner
it's
standard?
it's world class, and I think that the other thing that you guys do is that you'll curate to the specific operator, depending on, are you a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star operation. I
Hmm.
do think that you guys generally operate in the super premium luxury segment, but the customization to match the pricing is critical. Like, it goes
Right.
beyond just quality. You have to have quality plus affordability, and that's something that you guys have brought to the table. And frankly, some of the other stuff that we think about here, whether it's tariffs, whether it's,
Hmm.
overseas ordering, like all of this stuff adds complexity, and it's coming. And I think that's
Hmm.
one thing that, when we first started working, there was probably shifted. Supply chain went from, 3 or 4 days on Amazon and overseas to 9 weeks. If you remember
Hmm.
summer of 2022,
Hmm.
and we basically had to put projects on hold because we had commitments, but because the FF&E and OS&E took so long, those delays made it really hard to onboard with any type of velocity or consistency and leverage some of these central resources. So I think like being able to have somebody who knows how to navigate that and who has warehousing, who has inventory is really important, because even if you can do it decently enough today, there's going to be a
Mhm.
day when you're going to pull your hair out and you need an expert there that can backstop you, and it's just not worth trying to run a separate business. And
There
I
you
think
go.
the ultimate part of our business, because there's so many people that touch these homes, that touch every part of a process, from phone call to onboarding to activation to guest stay, post guest stay, homeowner support, all of these different pockets. You need to have so many different partners and vendors, and finding those, I would say, is arguably the most important part of the business. Like
Yeah. So
the same thing as finding great OS&E is finding a great cleaner. I mean, once you
mhm.
have it, you hold on for dear life.
Yeah, and so it allows you to focus on the core business, right? And growing the company instead of focusing on things that aren't part of your core competency. And it makes total sense. Outsource to the experts and focus on what you guys do best. And so, with that in mind, focusing on what you do best, what does the next 5 years, 10 years? I don't know what your horizon is. What does that look like for AvantStay and maybe the vacation rental space in general for you?
Yeah, so I think our industry's gone through a lot. We've seen a lot of companies not make it.
Mhm.
There's a graveyard of companies around us. Property management is, one of the most challenged industries. It's up there with restaurants, and so a lot of people, the barriers to entry to get in are relatively low. But then, the honeymoon phase expires, and you have a lot of issues. And so I think there's this like shiny object syndrome that folks have to go to the new up and comer that's cutting corners, and not really going to be able to sustain that for long periods of time. And that's where we've really shined in terms of our performance. Is not only are we profitable and growing, but we're also starting to innovate and bring in new products. So even if, which I think would be very difficult to do today, you could say that somebody's as good as us in terms of reviews and guest experience and homeowner support and maintenance and care of home. We are getting better at a higher velocity than other folks in the industry, because they're scrambling to kind of sustain the current experience, whereas we're innovating. And so one thing that we're going to
Right.
bring on, and this is probably not supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it, is Avant Prime, where VIPs and members get access to certain perks, certain discounts. They'll get VIP packages. They'll get without getting into too much detail, there'll be a number of
Sure.
perks that the Avant Prime membership brings in, and that only works at a national level. As a homeowner, you get discounts across all of the portfolio, so that only works if you're in a place where, like, you're not, if you only work with a company in one city, you're probably traveling to stay at your own house in that city.
Mm.
And so what we can now offer is we can offer 160 cities where you get discounted stays across the country. And a lot of people want to go to desert, they want to go to the mountains, they want to go to the beach, they want to go to a city. So another perk that we're rolling out, I think the transparency and controls and accounting and institutional reporting that we have works really well. Like, we've had so many compliments from, and we're audited company for years on end.
Mm.
CPAs call us and ask for a detailed P&L, and they get it within minutes. And then you can also pull it directly from your Lighthouse portal. And so I think that a lot of the tooling that we built enables people to have better controls and better transparency over their properties. We've obviously signed countless partnerships on the guest experience side. Now you can drive directly from your villa in a golf cart straight to the backstage at the artist section at Coachella Music Festival. And nobody else, we're the only company in the entire valley that has access to that type of perk. And we're rolling
So cool.
out different perks like that across all the events. And for example, Austin City Limits will have something. So I think all of this leads to a company that's really kind of figured out scale, consistency, execution at the core level. And now we get to really elevate the experience and the membership and the community that we're trying to build around homeowners and guests, and layer in amenities that maybe were a forgotten kind of perk that a lot of people just didn't expect in these homes. We did millions of dollars in chefs and stock fridges and things like that. That there's nothing better than showing up to your house, walking into the house, and seeing a fridge stocked full of food. You don't have to go shopping. Like
Love it.
it's like
Love that.
that. That to me is like the ultimate experience. And I don't even walk into my own house and see a fridge stocked. So
So true. Have
it's
on
it's
Prime at
it's just
home.
not.
Yeah, how about that? There you
So
go.
I think, yeah, the core of it is like we are we're back in like innovation mode to deliver, differentiated, elevated experience for guests and homeowners. And I think
Mhm.
like there's going to be a lot of stuff rolling out that only can be rolled out through a national scaled operator. It's just not
Mhm.
possible at a local level.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Sean, we appreciate you joining us and even breaking a little news here on the podcast. So we do appreciate that. Keep doing what you're doing. The industry needs innovation and innovators like you and your team. So we appreciate everything you do. We appreciate our partnership as well. Thanks for joining us and giving us a little bit of behind the scenes of AvantStay. So we appreciate your time. Thanks, Sean.